I wasn't originally going to make another episode of Bruce's Battle so quick, but I've got quite a few videos I need to get out before Christmas, so you can expect quite a few videos over the next couple weeks. Starting with this one, Bruce's next opponent, Reaper. Now, if it looks kind of familiar, that's because the creator, Master Dragon, the creator of Khorne from the Skybrid Wars, based this off the Reaper Leviathan from Subnautica. And overall, it was kind of a smart choice to actually make this because the creatures in Subnautica are very, well, iconic, especially the Reaper. But is the Reaper Leviathan actually suitable for the real world? Well, let's find out. The Leviathan provides the base. Sperm Whale enhances overall size. But then again, the Leviathan and Sperm Whale were more or less the same size, and Reaper kind of surpasses both. The largest sperm whales tend to grow around just over 60 feet and around 50 tons. Reaper is 75 feet long, and is said to weigh more than a sperm whale, which would put this thing probably at over 60 tons, which would be a very big stat error until I realised that the creator probably took the very rare instances of sperm whales growing to even greater lengths. So I'm giving Reaper here a free pass, but he won't get any more. Once again, Pilot Whale is here for its intelligence. Oarfish was added mostly for cosmetic purposes, because the Oarfish is probably the creature that is most closely associated with the Reaper Leviathan. No, because with those videos of comparing Subnautica creatures to real-life counterparts, the Reaper always seems to be compared to the Oarfish one way or another. This freak is the Anableps, more commonly known as the four-eyed fish, to give Reaper the signature four eyes. They're made to be allowed to be seen Reaper to see from in front of it and above it, but that's not how the eyes of the four-eyed fish work. See, one pair looks under the water, the other pair looks above the water. I'm not entirely sure if the pair on top will also work under the water, but this might mean that Reaper would have to use both pairs of eyes independently. No, one pair would be open, then he'd have to close that pair to open the other. If this was possible for a vertebrate, which it probably isn't, then he could potentially be left with some massive blind spots. He could be looking up, waiting for an ambush, only for one to be coming directly in front that he can't see. And it's only getting worse from here. See, I might have made an exception this one time that we wouldn't be including land animals in the genome, but that won't stop me from pointing it out. Cassowary was added solely for the head crest. Despite the fact that oarfish already have crests, I mean, sure, it looks almost nothing like what the actual Reaper Leviathan had, but this might be possible to get something closer through select gene editing. The same process that gave Zane Reborn's Volans Malleus his unique crest. And plus, there's a lot more of this where it came from. A lot more land animals, which really does not work well in congruity at all with this creature. The toe biter was added to give Reaper his signature mandibles. Only one pair though, not two pairs. However, this is a very bad idea for two main reasons. One being that the toe biter might use its mandibles, but every other creature in the genome doesn't have these kinds of mandibles, which means its instincts on actually using these weapons will be very messed with. Also, the mandibles aren't exactly a very viable grabbing option for such a large animal, because the main benefit for mandibles is to grab creatures from far away. But Reaper, in his case, he would have to get quite close to the target to actually grab them. And if he's that close, it's probably just better just put the pedal to the metal and charge into them. But the main reason why this doesn't work is because it's breaking a lot of anatomy issues. See, vertebrates have 4 limbs, 2 at the front, 2 at the back, and that includes whales. They have the obvious front limbs, but they also have the bones where their hind limbs used to be, back when they used to not be fully aquatic. So basically, this creature breaks a lot of anatomy issues, and we're not even done. Lastly, the Komodo dragon was added for its iron-coated teeth. And do I need to even go on? Because there are so many other creatures in the ocean that we could have chosen for those sharp serrated teeth. It didn't need to go break the rules. Again. Another potential issue I have with Reaper is the crest possibly blocking the whale echolocation abilities. I'm not entirely sure if that's how it will work, but it very well might. So to summarise, Reaper breaks a lot of anatomy issues, has multiple eyes that will be more of a detriment than a benefit, and will be very incongruent, most likely just swimming around randomly, kinda like the Reaper does in the actual game, so well done for that. Points and accuracy. This is why we don't put alien creatures into real life, because it's not exactly ideal. So, it's time to get down to the fight. Chuck, Bruce, and the rest of the Sharkopaths venture further out into the Pacific after their victory over Venda. They've now reached the most isolated point in the world, in the middle of the South Pacific, Point Nemo. Which, for those wondering, yes, Bruce was named after the shark from Finding Nemo, not the one from Jaws. I didn't even know the one from Jaws had a name. So yeah, Bruce isn't exactly very happy with Chuck for basically abandoning the Sharkopath pack during the fight, but during this point of discussions, they suddenly hear an incredibly loud roar. They start looking around to wonder what it is, and then they see it. A giant red and white tail sleeking away into the murky water. They both wonder what this thing could possibly be, but then it turns around and charges at them. The battle has begun, and both of the Sea Dragon warriors manage to get out of the way. This creature's quite slow and, well, not as fast as they are. And it's also very sporadic and random in its movements. They both notice this and decide to just go at it, because this creature is not well armoured at all. So it doesn't take too long for them to start to injure it. And those mandibles are a huge weak point, as well as with the crest, because they don't have any other function other than cosmetics. And as Goji Center said, something about the lines of making your creature look good doesn't exactly mean it'll be functional, or probably something along those lines anyway. So basically, Chuck and Bruce managed to rip this thing apart, thanks to their strong teeth. And Reaper really doesn't put up much of a fight in this scenario, because, well, he really can't. He's kind of just too sporadic for it. And eventually seals his doom as he's laid to rest in Davy Jones' locker. Hopefully this will come off as a lesson to not use alien creatures as a base for your hybrids, because just like Cthulhu Whale, these hybrids I choose to exclusively fight in the most isolated points in the world, because this is really the only place where they could feasibly exist. Because I pull a lot of things to try and make this fight happen, because in reality the fight wouldn't happen. Reaper would just be too sporadic to actually fight. No, the mixture of the multiple land animals would really convolute his genome and his brain, as well as the multiple eyes and the mandibles he won't really know how to use. So that's pretty much the end of the episode. There'll be 2 more episodes coming up, as well as the video on my newest hybrid. I'll try and get them all out before Christmas. That's because that'll be when I get my iPad and when the data transfer happens. Hopefully all my stuff gets saved. So until then, Bruce, Chuck, and the rest of the Sharkopaths, we'll be waiting for our newest challengers.